Today's critique looks at a blueprint for a daily English learning audio show designed to help beginners speak confidently.
Right.
And the plan is actually very detailed, but there is a great opportunity right here to make it feel even more like a real natural chat between friends.
Exactly. See, making the friendship feel completely natural requires hiding the formal teacher and student roles.
Ah, I see.
Because right now, the blueprint clearly calls Emma, the friendly English teacher, and David, the English learner.
Right, they have specific labels in the notes.
Yes, and this setup, it naturally forces the conversation to sound like a strict school lesson, rather than two real friends having a relaxed chat.
Okay, but I have a question here. Don't adult learners actually want a teacher?
That is a very common thought, yes.
Right? Like, if I am learning a completely new language, I want to know who the expert is, no? Doesn't defining these roles make the listener feel secure?
See, I understand why you feel that way. It seems very logical, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
We think adults want clear rules, but actually, let us think about how an adult truly feels when they try to learn a new language. They often feel very small.
Oh, that is true. They feel a little scared to make mistakes.
Exactly. So when you put the label teacher on Emma and student on David, you immediately bring the listener back to a school classroom.
And a classroom brings back memories of tests, exams, and the stress of it all.
Very true. In a classroom, someone is always judging you, right? When David is just a student, the listener feels like a student too.
Ah, so when David makes a mistake, the listener feels that mistake deeply. It creates a very heavy feeling.
Yes, yes. And there is a simple rule in learning. When a person feels stress or fear, it is like a door closes inside their head. The new words just bounce off.
They bounce off the closed door. They cannot go inside.
Exactly that. But when a person feels completely relaxed, that door opens wide, and the words go in very easily.
That is a very vivid picture. So keeping the door open is our main goal here.
Yes. So the suggestion is to reframe their relationship so they act exactly like equal friends, where the teaching happens as a fun, hidden part of their normal daily talk.
Wait, I want to push back just a little bit. If they are just equal friends, how does she correct him?
That is a great point.
Because let us say David uses the wrong word. If Emma fixes it, won't she sound like a teacher anyway? Let us look at some concrete examples of how to do this smoothly.
Sure. We have many ways to solve this, but let us look at one very natural way. Suppose Emma wants to start the show.
Okay.
Instead of saying, "Today I will teach you about ordering food," she can just start by sharing a funny story.
Like a personal story?
Yes. She can say, "David, do you remember when you went to the cafe and asked for brown water instead of coffee?"
Oh, I see. So they are laughing together, they are sharing a memory, which feels very warm.
Very warm. And suppose David makes a grammar mistake. Say he says, "Yes, I goes to the shop." Emma does not stop the chat.
Right, she does not take out a red pen.
Exactly. She does not say, "No, David, that is wrong." Emma just politely helps him, exactly like a good friend would. She smiles and says, "Oh, you go to the shop? I go to the shop too. What do you buy?"
Ah, that is very clever. She gives him the correct word, go, but she just uses it in her own sentence.
Yes, the listener hears the correct word. David hears it, but nobody feels bad. The teaching is completely hidden inside the friendly chat.
I love that. We should also avoid heavy words like lesson or student, right?
100%. Because lesson sounds like homework. It sounds like sitting at a hard wooden desk.
Yeah, we must use simple friendly words instead, like chat, help, story, and friend.
Exactly. When you say, "Let us have a chat," the listener feels light. They want to pull up a chair and listen. You are creating a safe space for them.
So a key theme here is safety and comfort. Now let us connect this feeling of a safe space to the very first thing the listener hears.
Right, the opening hook, the first 30 to 45 seconds.
If our goal is simple English, how do we grab their attention right away without scaring them?
See, a great opening hook for beginners should use a real-life situation instead of sounding like a formal advertisement.
Okay, let us look closely at the blueprint. The notes suggest starting the show by asking, what if you could introduce yourself confidently?
Right.
Now, I have to admit, When I first read this, I thought it was a strong start. It is very direct. What is the problem here?
Well, the weakness is that these hook ideas use big, difficult words that might scare a beginner, making it sound more like a TV commercial than a friendly chat.
Ah, because they are at the A1 level. They know very few English words.
Exactly. When they hear a big word like confidently, what happens?
Well, confidently has 4 parts. Con, fi, dent, li. It is a very long word for a beginner.
Yes, it is very long. And then they hear introduce, another long, difficult word.
So when an adult beginner hears these big words in the first 10 seconds, they probably do not feel excited.
No, they feel panic. They think, oh no, I do not know these words. This audio is too hard for me.
Right. That door in their brain we talked about, it slams shut immediately.
Yes, they will stop the audio and never come back. Also, asking, what if you could do this, sounds a bit like a salesman trying to sell a product on the television.
It definitely breaks the illusion of 2 friends at a cafe. So how do we fix this opening?
See, the suggestion is to drop the listener right into a quick, easy, and relatable real-life moment that makes them curious and uses very basic, simple words.
Drop them right into a moment. Give us some concrete examples. How do we drop a listener into a story in the first 10 seconds without confusing them?
The best way is to use sound and simple emotion. For example, you can start with the sound of a busy room. Maybe you hear cups clinking, like a cafe.
Okay, setting the scene.
Then, immediately, Emma says in a worried voice, "Oh no, a new person is walking over. What do I say?" And David answers quickly, "Just say hello."
Oh wow, that is completely different. It grabs your attention right away because you feel Emma's worry.
Yes, and look at the words we used. We replaced the big, scary words with simple A1 words.
Like new, say, and hello. We did not use the word introduce, we just said say hello.
Exactly. We did not say confidently. We showed Emma feeling a little scared, which is the exact opposite of confidently.
And by showing her feeling scared, the listener relates to her. They think, I also get scared when a new person walks over.
Yes, you are putting the listener and the hosts on the exact same team. You are not promising to teach them a big skill like a salesman.
You are showing them a real problem that happens in real life. That is a powerful shift.
Exactly. When Emma asks, "What do I say?" the listener's brain leans forward. They want to know the answer too. They will keep listening because the words are simple and the story is real.
Okay, so now we have hooked them. They are sitting at the cafe table with Emma and David, but we must keep them there for the whole show. Let us look at the pacing, the structure, and flow of the full audio.
Right. To keep a relaxed and easy rhythm, the practice exercises must be mixed smoothly into the main chat so it does not feel like a busy checklist.
See, the plan is to have a 15-minute show. But inside those 15 minutes, the writer has placed 15 different steps.
Yes, it is a very full list.
Like there is a step for a vocabulary break, there's a step for pronunciation practice, then a role play.
And the weakness here is that doing 15 separate steps, stopping the chat for a formal vocabulary break, then moving to pronunciation, will make the show feel very fast, rushed, and robotic.
It will ruin the relaxed rhythm. But I want to challenge this idea for a moment.
Okay, tell me.
These listeners are here to learn English, right? Do they not need these specific practice breaks? Having a clear checklist tells the listener, okay, now it is time to practice.
It is a fair point. Structure is good, actually, but think about the feeling of time.
Right?
If you have 15 minutes and you must finish 15 different activities, how long do you have for each activity?
Only 1 minute.
Yes. You are constantly looking at your watch, you are not resting, you are running from one task to the next task.
Ah, you were right. 1 minute for vocabulary. Stop. Next minute for pronunciation. Stop. It feels very bumpy.
It feels like riding a bicycle on a very bad road, isn't it? Like a machine in a factory.
Yeah. Check the word, check the sound, check the listening.
Exactly. If Emma says, "And now it is time for our vocabulary break," the cafe feeling vanishes. The listener is suddenly back in the hard wooden chair in the classroom.
The stress comes back. The door in the brain closes again. I see the problem clearly now. So how do we give them the practice they need without making it feel like a checklist?
The suggestion is to blend the exercises organically into the normal conversation. Mix them so perfectly that the listener does not even notice they are doing an exercise.
Let us make this concrete. Give us some examples of how to blend these steps together.
Okay, let us say David and Emma are talking about a friend who builds bridges. David uses the word engineer.
Right, a new vocabulary word.
Yes. Now, instead of Emma stopping the show to announce a vocabulary word, she just reacts like a friend. She smiles and says, engineer. That is a big, fun word. Let us say it together, David. Engineer.
Ah, that is very smooth. She does not call it a vocabulary break. She just shows joy for a new word.
Exactly. And then David repeats it. Engineer. And here is the most important part. They leave a short, quiet pause. Just 2 seconds of empty silence on the audio.
Just silence? But won't the listener think the audio is broken?
Not if you do it warmly. That silence is an invitation. When Emma and David say the word slowly and then stop for 2 seconds, the listener sitting at home will naturally want to fill that silence.
So they will say engineer out loud in their own room? That is fascinating.
Yes, you are pulling the listener into the chat. They are practicing their pronunciation, but they do not feel tested.
They are just playing with a fun word with their friends. What about the listening challenge from their list?
Same thing. If you say, now it is time for the listening challenge, people get tense. They worry they will get a bad score.
Right, so how do we test their listening smoothly?
You do not test them, you just ask a question naturally. Emma is telling a story about a man in the cafe. Emma turns to David and asks, David, did that man want tea or coffee?
Ah, I see.
Then David can pause and say, what do you think he wanted? The listener at home answers the question. Then David says, I think you wanted tea.
You are getting all the exact same practice. You are checking if they understood the story, but all the formal labels are gone.
Yes, the steps are completely hidden inside the friendly conversation. When you blend things like this, a 15-minute show feels like 5 minutes.
The time flows like water. They never feel rushed. They just feel like they had a lovely break in their day.
Absolutely. This approach changes the whole energy of the material.
I really appreciate how we looked at the psychology behind these choices today. Let us take a moment to recap the 3 main areas for improvement we discussed using simple A1 words.
Sure.
First, we need to hide the formal teacher and student roles. Making them act like real, equal friends removes the pressure. We should use simple words like chat and story instead of heavy words like lesson.
Right.
Second, the opening hook. We must avoid using big, scary words like confidently or introduce that sound like a TV commercial.
Yes, drop the listener into a real-life situation immediately, using simple A1 words like being worried about saying hello to a new person.
And third, the rhythm of the show. Instead of rushing through a robotic checklist of 15 different activities, blend the practice exercises smoothly into the main chat. Leave small pauses so the listener feels motivated to participate without feeling tested. These 3 shifts will make a massive difference.
100%. The writer has built a very strong foundation. Now we just need to soften the edges, slow down the rush, and let the warmth of friendship lead the way.
We warmly invite the listener to take these suggestions, play with them, update the blueprint, and submit it back to us for another look.
Yes, we are always happy to read the next version.
When you sit down to write your next draft, just picture a small, quiet cafe. 2 good friends are sitting across from you. The tea is hot, the chat is easy, and you are just happy to be there. Make your listener feel that exact same way, and your show will be truly wonderful.